Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax go on another shoot-style fight? Horsewoman killer Alexa Bliss is now coming for Charlotte Flair. Britt Baker successfully defends her title in a splendid all-out match. And Ruby Soho is all elite. Welcome, if you're entering the Belle. This is DS, and this is Women's Wrestling Weekly Recap, where we recap mostly everything that happened in women's wrestling. Let's start with last night's Raw, where we started with the Championship Contenders match. This format just kind of popped out in the last couple months. I hate it. This is weird. Is it a number of contendership match? But the champions are involved, and champions are keep losing. It's very freaking confusing. But before this match happened, we had this interview at the Gorilla, and Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross. Their chemistry is so cute. Rhea Ripley is like an older sister, kind of like playing with her younger sister. And then they got this new cute team name, which is Super Brutality. If anything, it's going to be beneficial to both of them. Both Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH has been criticized while being champion. Usually being champion helps her career. Rhea Ripley, a lot of people said she was overexposed as champion, showed a lot of weaknesses. So being in the secondary storyline, which is more laid back, she'll get time to get used to the flow of main roster style while still being in front of the public, and people will still love her. Also for Nikki ASH, she got a lot of pushback for being pushed down people's throat. I think having this character in the secondary storyline will also help her build the character and have that organic character development. So I think for both of them, this is great. But in this match, we were with Tamina and Natalya, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, who have been very inconsistent. Yes, Natalya have been injured, but on top of that, they've been just getting booked really inconsistently. They've been losing left and right to Shotzi and Tegan, and now to this team. So it really kills the credibility as champions. But on top of that, most storylines that's happening in this tag division is just kind of about the contenders, but really nothing about champions. So I think the tag team champions definitely need some love, or just kind of the storyline direction in general. This match was kind of wonky. I feel like the chemistry was a little off, but the chemistry between Rhea and Nikki was there, and we got to see a lot of really cute moves between them. So I think that kind of served this purpose. But overall, I think this match was meh. But the big anticipated match on Raw was Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax. They've got packages, they've got interviews before the match. And when this match happened, actually right before the match happened, I guess technically the bell did ring, but Shayna Baszler out of nowhere went up on the apron and started talking about, I don't know, she was like, I don't know if Nia's gonna win tonight. I mean, I totally can, but she probably wouldn't because she will choke for no reason, which is like kind of random. Like, I know that they've been kind of having differences, but this kind of came out of nowhere. But as soon as this match officially started, they went straight to the shoot mode. They were so intense, and just like last week, I could not look away. But they got back on track on the match. The match itself was actually really entertaining, but at the end, the match kind of ended unceremoniously when Shayna interfered for no reason again, which is like, I don't know. Shayna, I love Shayna. She's got the ring psychology down when it comes to her matches, but whenever she does like interferences and stuff, I think she gets her cues off. But yeah, unceremoniously, Nia Jax loses from the top rope natural selection from Charlotte Flair. I was kind of expecting Nia to win here, but that did not happen. But satisfaction for me. But after this match, Alexa Bliss shows up from her playground and invited Charlotte over. Charlotte was like, no. And then the magic happened. The light went out, and then Alexa Bliss shows up in that ring. Yeah, Alexa did not do any of these cool stuff with Eva Marie, but I see why. She's been saving this for the queen. I'm really excited. Again, the two golden girls of WWE, and I'm pretty sure that WWE will pour their attention into this feud. The match is now happening in Extreme Rules. Oh, I'm excited for this. Satisfaction guaranteed for me. Yeah, so Extreme Rules already have Alexa versus Charlotte, and I feel like Nia versus Shayna would be a really good contender for Extreme Rules match too. They could really go full out, have some extreme gimmick match. Let's make that happen soon too. And we also got some backstage interview with Doudrop. Doudrop talked a little bit about why she just attacked Eva Marie even before the bell ring last week at Raw, and she said Eva Marie's not at Raw this week, but next week she's gonna destroy Eva once more. So I think next week Eva will be bringing some help. Maybe someone with the pink hair, Dakota, or maybe Aaliyah. I'm excited. Who do you want to see? Let me know. Let's talk about NXT and is here for her first singles match back, and she looks like a goddess. The Golden Goddess is back. I'm so glad her experimentation with her hair and gear is kind of like put to bed, and she returned gloriously to the Golden Goddess. And here in this match, she went against Sarai. So Mandy in this match came out with Jessie Jane and Gigi Dolin, and Jessie Jane got some strut going on, coming for Crystal's gigs. And yeah, Mandy Rose acted more like a classical old school heel, and it was almost like refreshing to see that in NXT, like classic heel work here. And that kind of surprisingly worked pretty well with Sarai. And then at the end, we saw that huge kick spot on Mandy. And you know, there were some reports about did Mandy get injured or not. I think it's work because it was almost too perfect. Like Mandy sold the heck out of that kick. And I'm always like, how are people okay with this kick? It's like so devastating. And Gigi and JC kind of like protected her face and like they left. And Sarai won the match with 10 counts. I think it's a very interesting direction because for the supposed leader of this team to kind of lose on her first match is definitely an interesting direction. So I'll say satisfaction only because I'm curious to see what's more to come. We got another singles match, Jessica Mia versus the NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez. It was more of a squash match, less than 3 minutes. Jessica got to show a little bit of her flair, but ultimately she lost to Chingona Bomb. It was to showcase that she is the champion and there's so many opponents coming up to face her. So just, you know, casual show of domination. Satisfaction, it did its job. Outside of the matches, we saw 2 promo segments. At first, we saw an interview with Kaylee Ray. I think they're really building up for multi-women feud here, because just like last time when Raquel mentioned everyone like Dakota, Kaylee Ray, and Frankie Monet, here Kaylee Ray talks about a lot of people including Io Shirai, Ember Moon, and Raquel Gonzalez. So the competition is there. It was a good promo. Her accent's so sexy, and I think it's a good continued introduction of Kaylee Ray to the NXT crowd. And after this, we got promo from Ember Moon, and Ember Moon basically kind of responded to Kaylee Ray's promo calling her the has-been, and Ember Moon's like, I'm gonna show you who I am. So in the next episode, we will see Ember Moon versus Kaylee Ray, I'm sure, which is a great match. So satisfaction for both this segments. Alright, so let's go to AEW Dynamite, and on Dynamite, we saw a singles match between Penelope Ford, accompanied by Bunny, versus Tay Conti. And you know I love some Tay Conti. I think Tay Conti reminds me a lot of Maurice. Remember how Maurice back in 2008 when she first was introduced, she made herself over by telling such great story, developing her character when WWE actually didn't give her any storyline, but people just really connected with her because her body movement, her facials really helped her connect with the fans. I think Tay Conti is doing exactly that. Even the moment she walks out, just the way her huge facial expression is showcasing what she's thinking, what she's feeling, and her character to the crowd is immensely helping her to stand out of all the women of AEW, especially where there's character development and storyline is lacking for the women. This was actually a really long match. It kind of started out kind of wonky, but really they got their shit together. At the end of the match, they got the "This is awesome" chant going. Amazing chemistry, great moves. I love that almost like a finisher looking move that Tay Conti showed. I love how she's using her judo experience to like smoothly go into like different moves. And I love that Tay Conti is really growing in front of the AEW crowd. At the end of the match, Bunny tries to interfere, but Tay Conti flips the card and rolls up Penelope Ford to get that win. But there's an after-match beatdown, and who comes out? Anna Jay, who's been injured, and she reunites with Tay Conti. The Tay J love is still there. So good to see them. So yeah, this is AEW's version of storyline building leading up to Casino Battle Royale. Alliances are here. Satisfaction for me. It does its job. Now we saw 2 different promos. Britt Baker is out. She talked a little bit about Chris Statlander and how Statlander will have a 2-on-1 handicap match on Rampage. And we also saw a backstage brawl between some of the big names of this Casino Battle Royale: Nyla Rose, Jade Cargill, and Thunder Rosa. And I love that they had a little pink light back up there. Diva reference. Hello. Satisfaction for me. Let's go to Impact Zone. We've got 3-on-3 tag match. It is the Influence, Tennille Dashwood, Madison Rain, and Caleb with the K versus Taylor Wilde, Rachel Erling, and Jordan Grace. So this is kind of a follow-up from last week's storyline from that handicap match and when Rachel and Jordan Grace saved Taylor Wilde from the Influence. And yeah, this is more of a straightforward face versus heel tag match. As always, I'm so impressed with Jordan Grace. She has that brute force, the strength, but with so much speed, so it's like a big bullet running around. I've always really loved seeing her, and her moves always have that wow factor, so she's really exciting to see all the time. And also Taylor Wilde, as always, she's killing it in the ring. It's always so exciting to see them. But at the end, we saw some really innovative, kind of a fun spot where the Influence is holding on to each other to stop Taylor from winning this match, but it did not work. Taylor picked up the win, and we'll see where the storyline goes next. For this match, it was a nice progression of the storyline, so I'll say satisfaction. Other match we saw was not particularly women's match, but Chelsea Green teamed up with Matt Cardona to go against Rohit Raju and Shira. This was more of a men's match, but Chelsea Green kind of came in later. She had some cute spots, ultimately worked as a weak link and lost the match for the team. But I don't blame her. Chelsea was literally everywhere this week. She was on NWA, she was on ROH, and she's also in Impact Zone. So if you want to take it a little easy, I understand, because Chelsea is the star and she's dominating the entire industry. You go, girl. But for me, I kind of wanted to see the full-on intergender match, so I'm like, meh. Now, we got two women's promos. So we got one from Deonna Purrazzo and the Drama King, and she basically recapped Empower and NW73 and attacking Mickie James. So I think they're building up to that Mickie James versus Deonna Purrazzo match, maybe for Bound for Glory. I mean, her character is that she's a career killer, right? And I am very sorry Brandi Lauren was not murdered last week. She has been converted. So Su Yung and Kimberly kind of explained this whole murder process. So it's either they collect the soul or convert the soul, and thankfully Brandi Lauren has been converted, so now she'll be joining Su Yung and Kimberly and join this madness. Super excited to see where this goes. Them versus DK will obviously be so interesting, but yeah, Impact is definitely propping up their tag division. Even though Fire and Flavor is gone, there's a lot of tag teams to kind of fill that void. So Rampage time. So we got that 2-on-1 handicap match, Chris Statlander, the Alien versus Rebel, and Jamie Hayter. But in this match, Statlander was so impressive. That double team move she did, oh my god, I don't even know what that is. I've never seen it, but here it is. So impressive, brute strength, but she makes it so effortless. Oh, she is really alien. And she finished this match with some really impressive, cool submissions. So it's going to be interesting to see the submission versus submission, lockjaw versus whatever this is. For All Out, the match against Britt Baker will be interesting. Satisfaction for me. I do have to say, it's a recurring theme with AEW. Chris Statlander is an alien. Commentators love talking about it, but as a viewer, we're like, okay. I mean, like, yeah, she has some cool face paint and she has some amazing moves that looks like she doesn't care about gravity, but we're going into All Out, their biggest pay-per-view of the year. In AEW, there definitely is some barrier to understanding and kind of connecting with the characters. My understanding is that men's division in AEW have some really complex characters and storylines. It's time they start really doing that with the women's division. Now let's go to SmackDown, and Becky Lynch comes out and she's looking so good, and crowd is popping very, very hard for her since Becky Lynch came back. The reaction, looking at the crowd reaction, is very interesting to me. Here we saw Becky Lynch being booed a little bit. Mostly crowd was cheering for her. Some people are even booing for Bianca. It's definitely dividing the audience a little bit, which is very interesting. And I have to say, props to Becky Lynch. We can be confused about this direction. We can say that the booking for SummerSlam was really terrible, but what I can say is that she's such a good promo. And in this promo, she propped up Bianca Belair really, really well, saying that Becky and Bianca are the two women that won the WrestleMania main event by the women. And that's like actually really cool. And like Paloma says all the time, it's important to prop up your opponent, which makes their match ultimately mean more. And Becky Lynch talked about how Bianca could be the most athletic woman that ever stepped in WWE, but at the end of the day, experience is what wins. And she talks about how she was able to beat her so quickly. She's got that experience. So she's already putting a lot of layers into this storyline, which I think is really working for me. And then Bianca Belair comes out and definitely eats Becky up with the promo. She sounds so sincere. She sounds passionate. It's really rare to find such a face that's so sincere and genuine that makes people root for her. And Bianca is definitely that. And even next to Becky Lynch, who's one of the biggest stars in WWE, she is not her shadow. She's a star of her own, and so good to see that. Also, she looks great with that all-stoned top and bottom. When Becky Lynch is like, no, for the women's championship match on SmackDown. So remember last week we were talking about, how do you say nah and have crowd react to it? And that is to bring Roman Reigns into it.
Well, I don't give a damn what Roman Reigns does.
So this time she had a little more crowd reaction to it, and I think she did a really good job. After this segment, Sonya Deville approaches Becky Lynch and basically tell her that you can't run away, and you are having the SmackDown Women's Championship match at Extreme Rules, and the contract signing will happen next week. A couple things are really interesting. Becky Lynch was such a fighting champion before, so it's very interesting to see her being the opposite of it. It's an interesting character change. And And like she did before with the man storyline, I think she is constantly evolving her character. So she might not seem like a fully fledged heel. I feel like she might solidify her heel turn Extreme Rules, or even next week on SmackDown. So I think this is a really good character development and storyline building, so I'm really into this. Stratisfaction for this whole segment. The news was that Sasha Banks was backstage, so it's interesting to see if she will be involved with the storyline. Maybe she'll come and inject herself into contract signing, so that is something to look forward to too. So we had a couple backstage women's appearances. We have Toni Stormmaker appearances backstage, and Dolph Ziggler was kind of trying to flirt with her, but she was like, I like Rick Boogs better. So that was Toni Storm. Girl, I mean, it's good to see her in this capacity. I don't know. And also saw Carmella. She was in front of the fans. She was like sexy. She was like, yes, I'm SmackDown. Sexiest women. Beautiful. And Liv Morgan was just like, okay. Loved it. This reminded me of like such classic like diva promos. Like, remember how like Maurice was in the shower and she was like, welcome to Friday Night SmackDown, looking all sexy. So it's like kind of a modern take on that return from the commercial from back in the days, classic diva segments. And I love that Liv Morgan's like, girl, like I love it. Stratisfaction. But yeah, this is small and like this is not exactly what I see Liv Morgan do, but these little stuff definitely builds up for us to be connected with these characters. And again, this week we saw Naomi kind of follow Sonya Deville, and Sonya, give me that match. You said we're gonna give me the match. And 2 weeks in a row, we were building up to something. So, but don't do this too long. Let's not make this into Emelina, okay? Hopefully by next week we saw a little bit more character development. Either she flips out on Sonya Deville and they have Sonya Deville's return match, or maybe something else interesting can happen. Maybe she can inject herself in a contract signing, but hopefully something happens soon. So, Stratisfaction for this. And lastly, we're going to talk about AEW's WrestleMania. It is all out, and we got 2 women's matches. First, the AEW Women's Championship, Britt Baker, why am I talking like Mandy? Britt Baker goes against Kris Statlander. I really enjoyed this match. This match had everything from like really amazing spots and athleticism, but on top of that, they had really fun character spots from both Britt Baker and Kris Statlander and Orange Cassidy. So it was just overall very entertaining sports entertainment. Kris Statlander, obviously such a great wrestler. Some of the big spots were Britt Baker doing amazing Pittsburgh Sunrise. I personally did not know this was an Adam Cole callback, which was cool even without it, but I guess now knowing that it's even cooler. And I really love some of the outside spots. Pendulum moonsault, and she completely missed it. She was splat on the ground, and then Britt Baker did the huge curb stomp on the stairs. It was awesome. And then Orange Cassidy, who was like always just so composed and cool, finally break that character and scream. Scream at Kris Statlander to go back into the ring, and she went right back into the ring. Again, overall, super exciting match. Stratisfaction fully guaranteed. Britt Baker's championship reign is really interesting because she's a heel, but she's just universally loved right now. She's one of the biggest stars of AEW, almost to a point where there's no women that is as big as her, which is kind of becoming a problem when they are the face challengers. So maybe Ruby will be able to kind of like compete with that popularity, but we'll see how that goes. If AEW will keep her as heel even though she's so popular, or will she eventually kind of go into tweener and potentially the face territory? I think that will be very interesting. Now let's talk about the Casino Battle Royale. This is like the Royal Rumble of AEW. This is like a second time we're seeing this, I think. AEW has tweaked the concept a little bit. Is it working better? Maybe a little bit better than when it started. So to kind of re-explain the rule of this, instead of each one getting an entrance like Royal Rumble, 5 stars are grouped together in the suit of card, like hearts and diamonds, and they come out together. So the last time what the problem was, because 5 people walking together kind of didn't showcase a lot of people properly. This time, instead of having everyone come in together, they made 5 people come back to back so they could have their individual entrances. But still the problem kind of remains, because when they come out, they started like charging towards their rival and kind of hit their spots, but as they're hitting their spots, the next one's coming with their music. I think the problem is still there. I don't know how AEW can go around it. Maybe book the moves in a way that they can start hitting those spots after everyone's entrance is done. I don't know. I think in general, this Casino Battle Royale needed a little bit more refined booking. And apparently Tony Khan was an agent for this match. On top of the kind of like entrance problem, the other problem I had was there were a lot of very similar elimination style. We could see so many same patterns of elimination, and also there were a lot of elimination that just kind of happened without us even noticing. I could not believe how Hikaru Shida and Riho, the two champions, the inaugural champion and the longest champion, just eliminated like that, which was really surprising. Abaddon, who's like a big scary presence, was eliminated like she's no one. Sky Blue, Chicagoan, who Tony Khan personally invited to be in this match, also eliminated like she's nothing. So there were a lot of meaningless and repetitive elimination, which I had little issue with. There were some really fun spots. I really loved Riho's double 619, but you know, it was happening during the whole entrance. I love seeing Jamie Hayter getting booked so strong. Tay Conti coming to save Anna Jay. I love their whole alliance. Red Velvet had some crazy spear. Jade Cargill came in looking like a star. She had some really fun elimination, although I heard she had wardrobe malfunction almost. And legit Layla Hirsch continues to show that she's awesome, from Empower to this match. She came in and she did that whole German on Nyla Rose. Whew. But ultimately, I was very happy with how it went at the end. The ending part of this match, when after Ruby Soho was revealed as a Joker, and even before she came out, people are already chanting Ruby Soho. And you know what's really cool is that people are chanting Ruby Soho. That's a name that she never used on TV. So this really says a couple things, is that first of all, she used the power of social media. She produced these beautiful promo videos, and she put her name out there and people connected with it. So that was like a huge success on her part, and really shows how smart she was using social media after her WWE release. And also the other thing is how AEW and WWE book surprises differently. Technically, because people already knew it was Ruby, it was not a surprise, but AEW still committed to it and gave people what they wanted. So it was like a gift to them, even though the surprise was ruined. I feel like WWE, in a lot of times when the surprise is ruined, they just like it, trying to like swerve the fans by giving people what they don't want. I think that has happened sometimes. So I think it's kind of like a different approach to how they deal with surprises. But yeah, Nyla Rose, Thunder Rosa, and Ruby Rose were the final three. Nyla Rose, she was the winner from the previous Casino Battle Royale, so she's like a strong force. And Thunder Rosa got her eliminated. And then the final two, I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if any of them won. Like, I feel like it definitely could have gone both ways. So they were fighting on apron for like 5-10 minutes. It was very thrilling. And yeah, Ruby Soho won with the formerly known Riott kick. I don't know if she's gonna call it Soho kick, but we'll see how it goes. Very excited for Ruby. I mean, Ruby was, we all knew how talented she was, but she was booked as such a jobber in WWE. But if you've seen this match and if you've seen her promo videos that she posted on her social media, she's got so much talent. She can act, she can portray so much complex ideas and thoughts into her facials, her body. So I'm super excited to see what she's gonna do. But also as a person, I'm just so happy for her that people were just so there for her. They were behind her. Unlike CM Punk, Adam Cole, and Daniel Bryan, Ruby Soho wasn't a main eventer in WWE. She never had a championship. So she never had this kind of ovation ever. So just to see her and sip that moment in was just, I was just so happy for her as a human. Super satisfaction. So excited to see how Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho will go. But before we wrap up this episode, I want to take this time to send our love and prayer to Scream Queen Daphne from WCW and Impact Wrestling. Her passing last week was a tragic news for the industry, and I just want to take this time to say thank you, and we love you, Daphne. And also, I want to take this opportunity to tell anyone who really needs it, you are not alone. You are loved, you're important, and please remember, you are worth fighting for, and you are worth saving. So little announcement about Ring the Bell. So Joey's weekly live stream recaps, we are pausing that little bit. We are trying to revitalize it and come up with a new format. So that's in the works. But if you have any cool ideas, please let us know. We're always trying to shake things up. And you can find me at DSShin on Instagram and Ring the Bell DS on Twitter. And I'll see you next week. Bye.